So this is a topic which was not very, let's say, mainstream when I was pursuing my residency, but these days I think postgraduate students and practicing consultants are expected to know what a stress X-ray is. So I hope my screen is visible in its entirety and there are no subtractions from the screen.
Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
Wonderful. So this is going to be a brief talk. So I would want it to be as interactive as you would like. And it will be interesting to know once we discuss this, how many of you actually get the stress X-rays done for various knee injuries in your practice. To be honest, I have only started this recently with the increase in multi-ligament injuries that is coming to us. And now multi-ligament knee injury is a routine practice. And if you build up on the series of lectures that I have already taken on the biomechanics of the knee, the role of these individual ligaments, you will probably breeze through this talk because it is basically a radiological extension of what has already been spoken about. So what essentially is a stress X-ray? A stress X-ray, simply put, is an adjunct to your clinical examination. So it can never replace the clinical examination. And it's a method of objectifying subjectivity. So whenever you are under doubt as to whether you have a collateral ligament injury or a posterior cruciate injury, that is the time when you should get a stress X-ray, particularly for chronic injuries. So the indications to get a stress X-ray in your practice is basically any chronic or subacute MCL, LCL, or PCL injury. I also use it in acute injuries. So I use it as a method of assessment of healing of collateral injuries, particularly in high-performing individuals. Let's say if an athlete comes to you with a ligament injury of the knee, I hope you're all aware that the commonest ligament injury of the knee is the injury of the medial collateral ligament. Now, when you have a medial collateral ligament, in order to give a high-performing individual the certificate or the green tick that you can, yes, go ahead and participate in your sport, you must be very sure that the ligament has healed fully in its original length. And this stress X-ray is a very useful method to help you diagnose that. I also use it to follow reconstructed ligaments. So after a PCL reconstruction, or after a MCL or an LCL reconstruction, it is not a very practical thing to do for ACL reconstruction, where you can very well judge things clinically. And it's very useful in all these other scenarios. Now, this is a very good infographic. This is obtainable free of cost from the Arthroscopy Journal. So I don't know whether you're aware, but Arthroscopy Journal previously used to release such content only for subscribers. But the infographics in Arthroscopy Journal, which give you very good visual information at a glance, are now available free of cost. And I would encourage all postgraduate students and senior residents to look them up. These are the three various types of stress injuries. The varus stress injury. So varus stress injury, you would know, will test the integrity of the lateral structures. So mainly it is a fibular collateral ligament or the posterolateral corner. Essentially, the clinician or the radiographer applies a varus directed force with the knee 20 to 30 degrees of knee flexion. So 20 degrees, what is internationally accepted, but in most of our X-ray centers, it is generally done at 30 degrees of knee flexion. And it is also common sense to know that if just the fibular lateral ligament is injured, the amount of varus opening of the joint is going to be less. If the fibular collateral plus the entire posterolateral complex is injured, then the amount of opening is going to be more. So the numbers for the lateral side are 2 and 4 millimeters. That is how you can try to remember it. Up to 2 millimeter opening may signify, and this is a side-to-side difference. So you must understand that while the illustration only shows the affected knee being subjected to the varus or the valgus stress, you must also do it with the same force on the other side, and you must subtract the differences in the joint opening on both the sides. So up to 2 millimeter opening signifies a partial injury to the fibular collateral ligament. More than 4 millimeters is a complete posterolateral corner injury, and a complete fibular collateral ligament injury is between 2.2 to 4 millimeters. Now, the values for the medial side, that is a very common injury, or the MCL injury, in which you would apply a valgus directed force with a knee at 20 degrees of flexion. A partial MCL injury is 0 to 3, a complete MCL 3.2 to 9.7, and anything more than 9.8 millimeters is a complete injury of the posteromedial corner. When it comes to the posterior side of the knee, you do this kneeling stress view, which is a very easy view to obtain. It may look a little difficult, and I will discuss the way of obtaining these kind of views as well. So this is done for the posterior cruciate ligament. You must understand that a posterior cruciate ligament injury can only be diagnosed clinically and with the help of stress X-ray. An MRI is a very poor test of PCL injury. You may have a PCL injury with a MRI showing you an intact PCL, but that may be an elongated PCL. The MRI cannot tell you whether the PCL has healed at its full length or it has healed in an elongated position. So that is where the role of these posterior stress or the posterior kneeling stress views comes into question. The published figures are, and all these figures are the research work of one single person, Dr. Rob Leprard. So Dr. Rob Leprard, in his elegant cadaveric studies, has shown that a partial PCL injury will have a side-to-side difference of 8 millimeters, a complete PCL between 8 to 12, and in the case of a multi-ligament injury scenario, it is more than 12 millimeters. So these figures must be memorized, and this infographic must be made use of. It is published in the Arthroscopy Journal, and you can all download it from there. Now, I'll speak a bit on how to obtain this. So if you want to obtain, let's say, a varus and valgus stress view at 20 degrees of flexion, so it's useful to have your patient in shorts, and at the end of the table, the X-ray beam is tilted 20 degrees. And the reason is obvious. You want to be perpendicular to the tibial plateau so that you get a, I hope you know what are the good criteria of obtaining a good AP X-ray of the knee. In a good AP X-ray of the knee, there should be no overlap between the anterior and the posterior borders of the tibia. And even if there is an overlap, it should be less than 2 millimeters. So this kind of an X-ray you can only obtain by matching the angle of knee flexion with the angle at which the X-ray beam is tilted. And then to ensure that the knee is flexed 20 degrees for an average person, 1.7 centimeters height, you put a 10 centimeter cushion. So all your OTs will have this foam cushion, or you can just roll up a OT gown and you can create this cushion. A foam cushion is better because it will give you a better looking X-ray. The shadow of the cushion will not come in the view. And this particular trick is very important even when you are doing a scanogram. You must do the X-ray in the correct rotation. So the patellar shadow should come in the exact center of the intercondylar notch. For this, the patella needs to be aligned so that it directly faces the roof of the room. So these X-rays are courtesy of one of my friends, Dr. Khushbu Pilania. She routinely does the stress X-rays in her center in Noida. And this is how she does it. You can see that a person is applying valgus stress. You can see the X-ray. This is a valgus stress of this is just for representation purposes. I will show you some clinical examples. Therefore, only one side has been shown. So this is the valgus X-ray in 20 degrees of flexion.